who was picked up by operatives of national security for some questioning as we speak. Is with the confines of the NIB for some questioning over some materials that he possesses. The national security intends to find out more about those materials that he claims are authentic, based on which he's asking the president to collapse or to dissolve a committee which has been formed to look into the matters of the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, who we do know is on suspension over a petition which has been filed against her. We'll look into that matter. Of course, on that same day, for later that day, we also heard about the national security storming the residence of the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, a man we all popularly call Chairman Wontumi, also to basically investigate him, for him to assist in investigating matters that are not very clear. In fact, as we speak, national security has not been forthright about exactly why they have invited Chairman Wontumi. But we here have some information, shocking as it is. In fact, it would even shock the devil. And that information we intend to pass on to you this morning. It's an information that I can tell you is from an unimpeachable source. It's a very, very credible source. We do not know whether it is directly linked to why he's been invited by national security or not, but we'll share that with you in the spirit of openness and accountability, and also based on some comments that Chairman Wontumi himself has made. And then you can put all of that together and would ask ourselves whether we can trust the comments that he's made post his arrest. In fact, Monday, his lawyer tells us, when I say as the public, the Ghanaians, that he will be made available to the NIB for the NIB to continue with its work. But in the meantime, let me also say that Walk in Your Jersey event is happening as we speak somewhere on the streets of Accra. Now, IMG, the Graphic Communications Group, and the Ignite Media Group has put something together which, as we speak, is taking place. It's called Walk in Your Jersey. It's a prelude to the big game that's coming up on the 31st of this month with the UEFA Champions League. Inter Milan is coming up against PSG. We're whipping up the interest, we're whipping up positive sentiments towards the game. Because as you do know, Metro TV is big on sports. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll take you straight to somewhere in Accra where the walk is taking place. It's very successful. Scores of and hundreds of Ghanaians are walking in the streets of Accra, as you can see in your shot, and are very, very excited to be a part of this very, very noble, very novel, and very, very important event that's taking place here in Accra. Ghanaians are walking on the streets of Accra because they want Ghanaians to know that it's a big, big, big game that's happening on the 31st of this month. It's the UEFA Champions League, and we're whipping up interest, and we are giving you a sense of how important this game is to Ghanaians. So perhaps let me just take you straight to that event, and when we come back, we'll take a short break, and then the conversation will start. Please stay with us.
Chelsea Ankobabia Agrahine Nana Opoku about Chelsea so Odimo Akotirieba Nana walk na Chelsea say that one.
Well, very beautiful, make Canada. It has exceeded my expectations. This is the first edition, and who had a turnout now for me and yet bad cry. It clearly tells you how I'm for Eddie Odo, AG Ignite Media, Eddie Atum, Metro Television, Metro Sports, and as a sports world, Omar Jadi Atum. Over original TV, original 91.9 FM, original Sports Morning Show, and also my job to be the dance sir, and a Ghana for open the #1 authentic sports show. Our best platform no Ignite Media. Whether you're watching Metro TV or you're watching original TV or you're listening to original 91.9 FM, and so I'm very, very happy for the turnout and then pay. Yes, I work, but my make me fan job. It looks as if sir. FC Barcelona for almost supporters.
Yeah, no, I said Barcelona supporters.
Clearly, Omobu I confirm Manchester United for no so. What I can say United for a very bad season, and it's be a supporters no air hiding. But and then over blog and respond about Piemoha. It didn't say Barcelona this season actually be in fact winning the domestic treble no Edi enije bi abehye Barcelona supporters no omakuma muma enu ti enene omudo so papa enso so ha for Chelsea there is a sizable number of enkofo na babe piem ha enu nyina no ye ni ache because ye dem say season no top heavy enche ebeje eye conference league no na je se bibia timi akoko na kwan mu
Bebacho agroin in Nana Opoku and Outen and Kano, said you be Akaino. Oba Ignite Sports, yeah. You need Metro Sports, are the new original sports. Nina, a one sports teamer. Yana, a Juma, a Dibon. Nana, said the Wadi Akano. Now, Manchester for you. The Bian for you, must have suggested about.
Oh, of course. I mean, we are supporter in times of more difficulty, you know, and also my support a daddy. And indeed, United supporters are no money South Kodono. I say just in the Abane Chelsea. Omudo club no e fa won say club no atiato omo agide say next season ene ma be koso ye e dia momo
Nana be dan say it be no aka say enche bia work no and so e koso still ye nam Bawleshi e stretch na so a e ko say dem bi kan kan no different clubs abepiem sansuna the connoisseurs of the game the pundits of the game bebre abepiem e wa ha Rahman Kubaja also e wa ha Rahman the work so far your perspective, your perception concerning the work.
Oh, it is cool. And so far so good. Edema work, it's very important to exercise. And yet, always now when you have opportunity, Obi one more it does not get the opportunity to mingle with people and work. So when you get an opportunity like this, you just need to join. Now so I work at now body no kakra. Because yet in a few no sometimes yare no so and one ekuye and two work exercise kakra neja onya body okwa man na obe won say obi won 50 years 60 years but still original and so exercise so far so good for this particular exercise.
Thank you very much. So that is Rahman Kubaja, a connoisseur, a pundit of the game. He always represent on Metro Sports TV, live on Original TV, live on Original FM. It is Walking Your Jesse, being brought to you by Ignite Media Group and Graphic Communication. Once again, my name is Nana Akwesi Ajma Prepare Jr. We are still on the stretch of the Bawleshi Road. As I told you, various teams here. I'm talking about the team supporters representing the various clubs. We have Barcelona, we have Manchester United, Chelsea, the Blues. We have Arsenal, the Gunners. All these clubs are representing. Don't forget, we have the local clubs here. Techima 11 Wonders. Yes, they are here. Nana, Techima 11 Wonders.
I mean, we are looking forward to qualifying to the Premier League. We won our zone, and so we'll be meeting RTU for the playoffs. We are hopeful that definitely we are going to qualify. Techima 11 Wonders have really done well this season in their zone, and we are looking forward to qualifying.
Okay, so that is Agrohine Nana Opoku. Making comment about Techima 11 Wonders wanting to qualify for the Ghana Premier League. So don't forget, live on Metro TV, live on Original TV, live on Original FM. It is Walking Your Jesse. And now we are now at Ediane Profier. Yes, so still at the Bawleshi stretch of the road. And we are being led by the Ghana Police Service. Let's say a big thank you to Ghana Police Service for this wonderful work. And don't forget, the ambulance service is also here. The ambulance service is also here, also helping in our duties. So let's say a big thank you to them. Nana, so far, Ghana Police Service, what are we telling them?
Well, they've done a yeoman's job. I mean, they have eased the traffic that we envisaged that it was going to happen within the road, but they have eased it. So let us thank them. They've done a yeoman's job. I've also seen the Ghana ambulance here, clearly telling us that our organization has been upped, and we are thankful to management for what they've done for us. I think our first edition, and so there will be that, ups and downs. But in going forward, we are going to correct them. I think that the Ghana Police Service must be applauded for what they have done. They have done a massive job, and until we reach our destination, we're still looking forward to them guiding and protecting people who are here to join us celebrate this day.
Okay, so I'll be speaking in so many languages. I have Kingsley, the governor here. Kingsley, I want you to speak to our viewership, our listeners. Now, the work so far.
So, bro, Magranabe, this worker is very excited. I promise you over here, and of course, security. You bomb ya who by Allah, well, I fear them, ya come alene, Niam and the shade, and I pepe pera. Magranabe, I must not laugh at the shade levala, a Gemina Jamodi, Navadua, Fiana Yakata, ya wed the car as a one unity, none the shade, and I pepe pera, Fiana Jit, Ecomatagon and Yapam, Yapamle, original TV, Metro TV, original radio beda whenever fear the sia the leg bear fear me adunu anonu aduchiche atwa say lafisia
Akpa. So that was Kingsley, the governor, one of the producers of Original Sports. And he said, MD live on Original TV, live on Metro TV. It's a do baby. You can't brofo kakra, now you can't chi kakra. Don't forget, still at the stretch of the Bauleshi Road, so we are getting to the Bauleshi traffic light. And when we get to the Bauleshi traffic light, we will take our left turn. That is the Trinity Road. And we go straight to the UPS roundabout. So live on Metro TV, live on Original TV. Walk in your jersey. Walk in your jersey. Abofu Kifet Club. I can see them. I can see them. I can see them dancing. Undoubtedly, I can tell you that now, Ignite Media, we are doing a wonderful work here. So, you can see them here. Abofu Cafe Club is here. Liberty Cafe Club is here. Now, say there, I'm not saying the idea of Johano. Me who asama America ever found. Share Abranti. Or say Yama Sano and Rosano. So you can see live here representing Barcelona, Abofu Cafe Club, FC Liverpool.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Choco toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Choco toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Choco toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
The Ghana Celebrity Impact Awards, GCIA, is an annual award ceremony that recognizes and celebrates the outstanding contribution and impact of Ghanaian individuals, corporate entities, and celebrities. It celebrates Ghanaian philanthropy, promotes social responsibility, empower youth and community development, and celebrate achievements in giving back to society, thereby fostering national pride and unity. Here are the nominees for the Impactful Celebrity of the Year 2024 Female Category: Nana Mama Brown, Jackie Apia, Nadia Boy, Denta, Yvonne Nelson, Martha Ankoma, Juliet Ibrahim, Bella Mundi, Hamamat Muntia, Dinah Hamilton, Ohineyiri Gifty Auntie. To vote for the Impactful Celebrity of the Year 2024 Female Category, go to www.GhanaCelebrityImpactAwards.com. For enquiries and table reservations, call 053-755-0058 or 053-753-5390. The Ghana Celebrity Impact Awards is brought to you by Visa King, GCIA, celebrating the spirit of giving back.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson, some more.
Me didn't tum. Mr. Friendly Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Friendly once now. Hey, that's a new. Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action. Me did this sasso spray. Mr. Friendly sasso quell. Yeah, go to my sasso.
Come Tom Preco.
Ghana need you. Because they say the one we never be president in T. Ghana need you. Ghana for Musorio. Ghana for Musorio. And before you know Musorio. And before you know Musorio. I am Munti and I'm Mahama MC. This vice president is that. Me, my don't board so that. Me, my DCO da. Me, my minister da. I am chairman in the media. And I want to make campaign in Mammy. I'm my campaign in my party, and I'm a year Juma 2013. We are about the boom, Juma. Bubaye, my topping my Juma, my count to pa, be Didier was one. Me, my count to club, be Didier was one. Cemetery, my school fees, club higher thing. What I say, most of them won't start to my count to show, and Nasabe, me, sick up in the family.
We are the new Patriotic Party. We are the new Patriotic Party. The Elefantes are in the same mood. We shall win to save Ghana. The Elefantes are in the same mood. We shall win to save Ghana. We shall win to save Ghana. We shall win to save Ghana. The Elefantes are in the same mood. We shall win to save Ghana. So they cautioned him and then they charged him. So as far as the processes is concerned, we are almost through with the processes, because once there is an interrogation and you are cautioned first, and then they press charges against you, then you're almost through. Technically, I'm sure the next should either be in court or we've put in a bail application. So let's see how it goes.
What do they say his offenses are?
False publication. False publication in relation to an interview he granted on a traditional media, and then something he posted on his X account, and then a petition he wrote to the president. False publication in respect of these three I have mentioned.
So obviously, once you grant interview in relation to a petition, the petition will also have to be added to it. It's a Friday, and if you heard the family in the media earlier on, in the morning, the wife is an expectant mother, and you need your husband around. He's a family man, and quite apart from that, it's a young man who obviously not run to anywhere. It's known. He has men of substance to stand as sureties for him. And aside everything, lawyers know that once you are charged with an offense like false publication, it is not something of grave in nature to warrant you being kept here, except to say that they will tell us they are not done with their investigations. If you are not done with your investigations, we also need our clients out there that you can proceed with your investigations. So that was in respect or in relation to the fact that once he's been questioned and he's been charged, the next is the superior there will determine the next line of action. So we are waiting for the superior here to say A or B. Then the lawyers will also know what to say or what not to say.
Today is a dark day. In fact, there is a tap on the democracy in Ghana today. We woke up to the news that a gentleman who is a member of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Adenta Kumi, house was raided by over 20 security from the NIB, from the uniform that they were wearing, very armed. Notice was not given to them, to Adenta Kumi, of their visits. None of them had a warrant on him, and his home was raided. The wife and other family members were very distressed. You could see that their privacy was invaded, which was against the dictates of our constitution. I think that we are getting back to the days of the silencing of people not to speak, because what we do know is that Mr. Adenta Kumi had submitted a petition. He did not send the petition with guns. He did not send the petition with any gunpowder. He did not also gather any lanyards and went to submit the petition. He lawfully submitted the petition to the executive, and this petition is related to the CJ matter. For him to be visited today in this manner was something that we all begin to question ourselves, that what kind of reset have we gotten for this country? It is very bad. The General Secretary of the party, my boss, made a follow-up to the national security, and he was denied access to Mr. Adenta Kumi.
Point number one, it is always important that the arresting officer clearly states why he or she is arresting whomever he is arresting.
Right.
Now, another point that we should think about, which cuts across all the political parties when they are in power, is the masking. I'm being told, or as we have all heard, the national security operatives who went to effect the arrest were having their faces covered. This is very, very unlawful, because a police officer ought to be identified at any given time. That is why any policeman you see, his name or his ID is on his chest or his breast. The reason is that if we are not able to identify the arresting officer, criminals like kidnappers and armed robbers and so on and so forth can masquerade around and pretend to be national security operatives to be picking up people to kidnap them in the name of the national security. And we may not be able to account for some of these things. So for me, if you ask me the question of whether any law has been breached in this arrest, I think the masking of the national security officials is the biggest wrong with this arrest which has taken place. I want to believe that, you see, the courts have already said that every unlawful arrest can be resisted, which is why I believe the MPP people were trying to mass up at the place. Of course, the mask makes the arrest unlawful because the arresting officer has to be identified. So if you have masked yourself, you do not meet the criteria or the checklist that is needed to make the arrest lawful.
I totally disagree. Why are we trying to stampede the process carried out by the security agencies? We are stampeding their work. That is not good enough. It's not good for national security. Let them do their work. Nobody is guilty until proven guilty. And so the mere fact that they've come to arrest somebody doesn't mean that the person is guilty. Let them do their work.
I called Mr. Ophir, who is a police officer, and I told him that on Monday we would report to his office. He told me that I should write a receiving note that I had accepted the invitation, and I added that I would be coming on Monday. I did what he asked me to do and gave them what they requested. Yet when I woke up this morning, I saw a lot of people in front of my house saying that a BNI, which is the NIB, boss in Kumasi, had asked them to come for me. I told them that the police had already informed me that they needed me to assist with investigations, and have told them that I will be reporting to them on Monday. So why would he send for me? I told him no, and that I was going to call the police officer. When I called the police, they said they had not sent any person to pick me up, and that they are waiting for me to report on Monday. So what have I, Wontumi, done? I have never been president before. I have never been a vice president. I have never been on any government board. I have never been a CEO. I have never been a minister. I have never had any government appointment, nor have I worked for the government in any capacity. This is very important and very instructive. Maybe I need to repeat it. I have never been CEO, I have never been a minister, I have never had any government appointment, nor have worked for the government in any capacity. In any capacity. So what is happening? Is it because I want to become a national chairman that the NDC wants to frighten me? God is not going to allow this to happen. As we speak, we're still at my home. They are not going to have it easy. And this is from Chairman Wontumi. And I still have more to say about what Chairman Wontumi has been saying since the attempted arrest. Today, I struggle to eat and pay my children's school fees. What state money came to me that justifies this harassment? What state money came to me that justifies this harassment? He quizzed in a live broadcast. Now, I have never been a vice president, a minister, a CEO, a board member. I've talked about all of that. And he said in 2013, my business was collapsed, yet when we, the MPP, came to power, I didn't retaliate. Now that you've assumed office in 2025, you're still targeting my companies. Even my bank accounts have been frozen. That's what Wontumi has been telling the public through the media. Now, you do know that in April, the Financial Intelligence Center froze all his accounts linked to Chairman Wontumi after allegations emerged that his company, Akunta Mining, was engaged in illegal mining activities in the Tano Inimri forest. Now, he claims that the FIC has led him unable to feed himself or pay his children's school fees. Now, as a responsible media organization, what we did when we heard those public comments is that we went beyond what Chairman Wontumi has said and to do some digging. That's what we're supposed to do as journalists. That's what we're supposed to do as broadcast journalists. And we have to a very large extent, trust our source. And this source, as we did our work, is a credible source that we can tell you. It's a very, very credible source. Now, regarding the comments or the statement that want to be made about he unable to pay his child's school fees, he's broke, his bank accounts have been frozen, he's never done any business with the state or with the government, we needed to cross-check that. And so this is some important information for his adherents. I mean, those of you as minions or followers or admirers or his fans, however you want to call yourself. Now, you must know that on the 24th of November, which is just 2 weeks before the election. Now listen, I need you to listen and listen good. Cocoa Board paid him and his company, Hallmark Civil Engineering, 30 million cedis for supposed work that was done regarding the Cocoa Roads program under the auspices of a certain Emmanuel Ray Ankra, who's the Deputy CEO of Finance and Administration. Now, what we have learned or we have stumbled upon is that he promptly purchased a 365-day government securities of 23,255,870. And of course, disbursed just over 200,000 to some persons. So I'm just wondering where the noise about Wontumi saying that he has never done any government work coming from. Because I've just shared the information with you. Now, again, the question that if I had the opportunity to speak to Wontumi, I would ask him is whether indeed he's actually done any government work or not. And whether that job that he did, whether those certificates were properly done, even ahead of the contracts that he was given. And if you talk about the fact that you don't have money to even pay your child's school fees and so on and so forth, you paid a whopping 11, as I did indicate, you paid a whopping 23 million cedis. You purchased a 365-day government securities of 23 million cedis and disbursed just for 200,000. Now, out of that, we're told about 11 million cedis was what you put in some other account as well. So one that wonders, where is this noise about you being broke and you can't pay your child's school fees and so on and so forth? I mean, there's a lot more that I can share, but we'll do that at some point during the program. I'm still gathering my information, and I'll bring you a bit of a breakdown on some of the expenditure or the expenses that he's made and some of the decisions that he made post the payments that he was made. And that's another 80 million cedis that was paid prior to this money that was paid to him that he paid 23 million cedis into, or he bought a 365 days government securities with. And I'll pick that information up for you shortly because I'm still doing some digging as far as this is concerned. And I was just wondering if common sense would have told him that if you're being paid monies for contracts that you're not finished doing, why would you want to spend the money and decide to buy government securities and so on and so forth when you're not done with the contracts that you were awarded by the state? Quite clearly, something is amiss. Okay. Anyway, so I'm still doing some digging, and I'll bring you some more information as far as this matter is concerned. Good. Now, on the 8th of January, apparently he was paid a specific amount of 50 million. Yes, this was the information I was looking for. 50 million, over 50, let's just say 52 million cedis. And he was paid again by the same Emmanuel Ray Ankra, who's the erstwhile Deputy Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, of course, in utter disregard of and in direct contravention of the Chief of Staff's directive. Recall the Chief of Staff said, don't make any payments, wait till we're done with our auditing and so on and so forth, and then we can do those payments. But it was disregarded, he was paid. And the payments regard to a Cocoa Roads project I did mention in the name of a company he owns. It's called Hallmark Civil Engineering. And then he subsequently withdrew 11 million cedis. Yes, this was the information. 11 million cedis in cash even before he bought the 365-day government securities with 39 million cedis, and of course transferred same to an insurance company which he owns. It's called Paradise Insurance Company. You cannot, by the stretch of any imagination, take these financial decisions and then come out to say that you're broke, you can't pay your child's school fees, and you can't buy food, and so on and so forth. Clearly, I think that Bernard Imchiboisiakon, you've not been honest with Ghanaians, and you need to come clean on this matter. And if you disagree with the facts that I have put out, please, you are free to put out a counter fact. Let me know if the information that I have stumbled upon, it's untrue. And I think it's quite a shame. It's quite a shame. The kind of dishonesty that has been very characteristic of the kind of politics that some of our politicians do. But anyway, so let's get on with the business of the day. Let me just, of course, we started with the business of the day, but let me introduce my guests who have taken off their very busy schedule to join us on Inside Pages today on Metro Television. I also did mention that the cedi has appreciated against the major trading currencies by 24.1%, and it's got Ghanaians, of course, a lot of Ghanaians are happy, but the vice president has had his own take on this matter. He believes that it is only fair that he is credited for what is happening to the cedi because of some policy initiatives that he initiated. But the NDC is taking none of that. The NDC says, no, this has nothing to do with you. This has everything to do with credible leadership, which has gotten the cedi appreciating against the US dollar and all other major currencies. I'll be speaking to Richard Kumado briefly because we need to do this one to me and Alfred Kumi matter shortly. And then I'll come back and start with a conversation on the cedi appreciation. But in the meantime, let me say Ernest Adade has joined us. He's a member of MPP's communications team. Ernest, good morning. It's good to see you join us on the show once again. My brother, how are you?
Once you are there, I'm there.
Thank you.
No fears.
Thank you. I know you've got my back all the time. And then, so let me say that Dr. Julius Kweku Kata, who is a fellow, chartered economist, and also National Communications Team member of the NDC, and also an economic consultant, has also joined us. Doc, good morning. Thanks for joining us on Inside Pages. We're glad to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
It's been a while, though. The last time you came on must have been last year.
Yeah, sure.
Or 2 years ago or so.
Yeah,
or was it last year,
2
2 years ago? 2 years ago, yes. Ghanaians enjoyed your submission on the show. Unfortunately, you're too busy. But now you've made time to join us. We're great. We're grateful. And also joining us is Nana Yasapong, who is a political aide to Alan Chermanting of the Movement for Change. He's also joining us. Nana, good morning. It's good to have you join us on the show, sir. Thank you. You abandoned us, but that's okay. We can deal with that. Fortunately, he's back again, and we hope he's back for good. Courage Bochi will also join us at some point. He's a manager, macroeconomic research, Ghana Commercial Bank, PLC. So if Richard Kumado is ready, can we kickstart a conversation with him? Okay, but let me start with you, Ernest Adade. What do you have to say about the national security operations that he conducted yesterday, where he went to the residence of Alfred Kumi, or we all call him Adenta Kumi, and picked him up? The NIB picked him up, and as at yesterday, it must have been around 9 p.m. it was, under the custody of the NIB until he was released later in the night. We saw pictures of him and the minority leader, Alexander Fenyomakin, where, he had welcomed him to his office and so on. That's what we got the news that he's been released. What do you make of that, and that of the original chairman? That's Bernard Imchiboisiakon, who was also... the NIB attempted to arrest him, but they didn't succeed, and he said Monday he'll make himself available for whatever investigations they have to carry on with. What do you make of it?
Thank you, Moro. Good morning, and good morning to my co-panelists. Good morning to all the viewers all over the world, wherever they are viewing from also. Moro, before the security agencies go to arrest somebody, does the fellow has to break a law? So did they tell us which laws Adenta Kumi broke before they raided his house? Because I heard his lawyer saying before he was released on bail last night that they've charged him with, I think, one or two things: publishing false news or something.
Yes, publication of false news.
Publication of
That's
false
in the case
news.
of Alfred Abibio. Sorry, Alfred Kumi. Sorry.
Which one is the false news? The gentleman had written to His Excellency the President to tell him that I have seen this. I have actually cited the judges and the lawyers of one of the complainants, or no, not complainants, how do you call them? One of the petitioners.
One of the petitioners, a lawyer for one of the petitioners.
Yes, in a restaurant. The gentleman did not say he is a lawyer or a judge and therefore he thinks they are guilty. I listened to the gentleman from A to Z on another network. And he said, this is what I have seen. And I have written to His Excellency the President. I've sent a petition to him. What else could he have done? He sent something. He's sent a group of people. He had written to His Excellency the President. And the reason why I found the attack on his family yesterday very unfortunate is I listened to the gentleman on this matter. And the host of the program pushed him and pushed him and pushed him. And I'm making specific reference to his interview on NEAT FM. That was 3 days ago.
Okay, I beg you. Let me just quickly speak to Richard Kumar.
No problem.
Take over us in the next 5-10 minutes. Richard Kumar, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages.
Thank you, Mauro.
Right.
Today I'll behave myself, so don't be.
Sorry, what did you say, sir?
I said today I'll allow you to ask the questions and I'll behave myself, so don't beat me.
Well, you've always behaved yourself, so I don't have a problem with you at all. Richard is an internationally renowned security expert, and he's taking time out of his very busy schedule to join us. Now, Richard, first of all, what are your preliminary comments about the two incidents that we witnessed yesterday, that of Mr. Alfred Kumi and that of the regional chairman of the NPP, that's Bernardine Tribu-Esiaku?
So there are three things involved. Law enforcement agencies or security operatives must understand that the operational environment in Ghana is gradually becoming a hostile environment. To that regard, they must always streamline their operations in such a way that they will achieve the required results as is expected of them. If that is not done, two things are likely to happen. Operational security could be breached, and the safety of the officers will also be compromised. And that may lead to some other things they may not prepare for. Then the second point is that individuals or groups of people who deliberately interfere with law enforcement operations, and they do everything possible to disrupt those operations, are committing crimes, and public education will be needed. Other than that, they have to be arrested and prosecuted, particularly when they know these are law enforcement operations in place. The third point, which speaks directly to what happened yesterday, is that as law enforcement officers or as NIB or BNI officers, if arrest become an object on the table and we walk into your premises to arrest you, there are a few things we do. One of them, we will announce our presence. We will indicate why we are there. We will show you who we are by identity, and we will tell you why you are being arrested. Particularly in a democracy where rule of law works and you need a legal representation, we will inform whoever is around or your lawyer, if you have one, that this is where we are taking you to. And when we get there, with or without your lawyer, you will be charged, and your family and your lawyers will be informed what the crime is and why you are being charged. Because remember, Moro, all what the law enforcement agencies will do, if prosecution is on the table, then it ends up with the Attorney General. And because you need a legal representation, the Attorney General of necessity, if you do not have a lawyer, will make sure you have a legal representation. So that is where we are. Now, when it comes to Wotumin's case, it's either they go to arrest Wotumin, or it's either they search his house, or it's either they invite him by the methodology they have chosen. There's no wall in this country that is higher than a search warrant, and there's no gate that is more powerful than an arrest warrant. As to why they hung themselves out there and they did not search his house or they did not get him arrested, and it's turning out that they are inviting him, I think that is a question they would need to answer. But overall, these are the preliminary comments on what happened yesterday in line with best standard and best practice.
Right. Now, this subculture where we are quick to politicize the lawful performance or the lawful performance of the constitutional duty of state securities, how do we nip this in the bud? And how do you think this could, or this acts of, partisanship affects the work of these security agencies?
Moro, God bless you. You are one of the people who ask the tough questions. So I prepared before coming this morning. But you see, Moro, some of your brothers in the media, particularly the host, we will need to rise above, let's say we have to be a little bit more circumspect and discretionary, analysis need to be high. And let's take the bull by the horn, as you've always known me to be. So the question I ask most of you, my brothers and sisters in the media, who granted this opportunity to educate the general public is, our democracy, where did we learn it from? And when it comes to law enforcement, which ones in the world are we benchmarking? That you have the FBI, or you have the MI6 and the MI5 from London, or the FBI and the National Crime Agency across the West, coming on operation, and you are informed that this is a security operation, and you would dare deliberately interfere with a lawful law enforcement operation. Well, you will bear with me that you would have been dead, and we would have celebrated your death, or it would have become something else. I was in London in 2006, 2007, when Tony Blair was the sitting president or the prime minister, and he was arrested by the police by a particular political decision the Labour Party took. You are also aware how the current president of Donald Trump, whose house was searched, because the FBI believed that he has state assets in there. You have a situation in Ghana where a politician was arrested and was taken to the BNI office at 37. They call out people and they mass themselves. It became a confrontational issue between the police and the people. A tear gas was fired, and we have a young boy in Nima Mamobi who have lost their eye up to today. And the politician and the wife are walking in the street and nobody is taking care of them. The point I'm making to buttress your point is that I am so much concerned, and I'm afraid that if this thing is not stopped, a day is going to come when it will lead to antagonism and confrontation between law enforcement officers and the general public that deliberately obstructs law enforcement operations, and it may lead to casualties on both sides. And that is why within the law enforcement agencies, we have what we call the due diligence and accountability units. And sometimes when law enforcement officers put up a behavior that breaches their standard operations, you can sue them. And they are also aware that the outcome of their work can be litigated in court, or it can be scrutinized within the general public. But what we are seeing from NDC NPP politics is getting out of hand, and is creating a whole lot of problems for law enforcement officers. Moro, let me say on authority, competently with 29 years this January in this security intelligence environment across the globe, that there's no standard anywhere that says that when you have come under crime investigation or you have come under national security interest investigations, you should be invited. And I see the journalists, the serious senior journalists in this country pushing this agenda that nobody should be arrested and everybody should be invited. I beg you people, it is the prerogative of law enforcement officers to decide at what point you should be invited and what the invitation methodology should be. It is the responsibility of the NIB or the BNI to serve notice, and you do not dictate that. That is their own prerogative.
But in the case of Richard, in the case of Bernardine Chibuisiaku, for instance, he says the reason he was unable to attend to the invitation by the NIB, which must have been yesterday, was because of medical reasons. He is unwell, he says, or he claims. He asserts.
Let's stop
and so
that.
wait, by Monday, I would have recovered on Monday, and then I can attend upon your invitation.
No, it's wrong. It's politicians when you get them arrested that they go to farm and farm cocoyam and farm plantain. It is politicians who rush to hospital few hours before they must appear in court, or they will be picked up by law enforcement officers.
Okay.
We are setting a very bad precedent that is not a standard anywhere in the world. When the MI5 and the MI6 decided to pick you because you have some questions to answer, you cannot say you have a meeting with Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth, so they should go and you will come. When FBI or the Homeland Security want to arrest PDD or to search his house, you cannot say you are PDD, so you are going to sing a song to thousands of people before you come.
Okay.
When Donald Trump's house is to be searched, he cannot say he's the president or a former president, so he's going to play golf, and when he finishes playing the golf, he will come.
Okay.
We are creating a nonsense situation in this country that is absurd, and that is primitive, and that is creating problems. And if we don't stop, and you, my big brothers and sisters in the media, you do not stop asking the questions in a manner that favors the politicians. When the boys steal a phone at Kwame Nkrumah Circle or Plantain, and they are going to court, they have no hospital to go.
Okay.
They have no farm to go, and they get picked up. So it's a very bad precedent we are setting.
Okay.
And when we look at the characters we are talking about, they are the lawbreakers in this country. And when law enforcement officers say you have a question to answer, let's allow the law enforcement officers to do their work, knowing that they have limitations and they work in line with the rule of law, which we all talk about. And in a democracy where rule of law is number one, the few things that governs that principle is that everybody has to be accountable and everybody has to be responsible for their individual actions or inactions. And nobody is above the law. We are creating a class system in this country that is not palatable for law enforcement.
Richard, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so very much for accepting to be with us on the show today.
I'm grateful.
Thank you. That's Richard Kumada, who is a security analyst, and giving us his thoughts or sharing his thoughts on the two important developments that we saw in this country yesterday. Bernardine Chibuisiaku, who is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, his house was, the security agencies stormed his residence in an attempt to pick him up. He was nowhere to be found, and he's promised to be available on Monday for whatever questioning or whatever investigations that the security agencies intend to carry out. And then the case of Alfred Kumi, who is also a youth activist of the NPP. We call him Adenta Kumi, that's popularly called. He was arrested by the NIB. He was taken to the NIB offices. He was questioned. A number of things happened. But he was released later in the day. It must have been around 9:30, 10 p.m. thereabout. So that's the conversation we're having here. Ernest, that is Ernest. Ernest, the other day, you were talking about...
So I started with Adenta Kumi and was giving a background.
Yes.
And all I was saying is that the gentleman said he saw something. He wrote to His Excellency the President, the first gentleman of the land. I listened to his interview, and in the interview, the gentleman said, I give respect to His Excellency the President, and I will not go into the details of this matter until His Excellency the President has acted. I listened myself, and the host kept pushing for him to give more details. He said the matter is with Excellency the President. Whatever information he needs from me when he invites me, I will come. So this was the background I have with Adenta Kumi. If the next day,
but
let me pick something. Let me land
just
on
a
this.
Second,
and then.
But you know that picking up an information and proceeding from there to conclude on what your take or your interpretation of the information is, in a way that can also hurt the image or reputation of certain persons in itself, is also wrong.
So he has written to His Excellency the President. He has access to all the state agencies. He can ask for the advice of his Attorney General or any other person who can advise him on this matter.
Okay.
And then they can educate all of us, including me and you sitting down here,
Okay.
that this is the issue. Next time I see some gentleman sitting somewhere, it might not necessarily be what you think. This is what the law says, and that's what the law says. Okay. But I want to reference something that the person you just interviewed, Mr. Richard Kumado, just referenced. He said, let's allow the law enforcement to do their work. And he gave you references of the UK. I want him to understand something. There is no way. In 2007, I was also in the UK when they raid and they went to arrest Tony Blair's secretary and all that. The incident he was referencing. I was also in the UK. Okay. There is no way a UK policeman will arrive in your house masked.
Okay.
He's wielding guns, masked, his face covered. He cannot identify. He is arresting you and he will not read you your rights. And he will not tell you where he's taking you to. And, Chief, that is way, way out of order. And don't even compare. Don't ever even compare that. There is no way a UK security person will do that. He will even lose his job before he go to your house. It's not right. What is right is right. Everybody have the right to walk to my house today, tell me that you have done A, B, C, D, and for this reason you are being invited to come and answer A, B, C, D questions. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to a legal, whatever. They will read you all your rights. But people arrive in Kumi's house. Are you hearing the rumors? There are rumors that even the way and manner the people came, the kind of weapons they were wielding, their wife just had a miscarriage immediately.
Are you able to confirm that?
I don't. That's why I said it's a rumor.
It's a rumor. Okay.
I use the word rumor.
Right.
That's what they are saying.
Okay.
But if it is true that you even went into a house where there are children in that kind of manner, in Ghana here, we have had situations where people just vanished into thin air. Judges were taken from their own homes, and they never arrived where they said they were taking them to. And you come to my house in masked and wielding weapons. Please, we should never go into that angle. I have always hit on the national security with this method. I am not to show them how they should do their work. But what is right, and what is wrong is wrong.
Okay.
It can happen to me. It could be you tomorrow. It could be MPP, NDC in office today. It could be MPP in office tomorrow.
Right.
What is wrong is wrong.
Okay.
So let us look at it from that angle, that anybody could commit any form of crime at any point in time, that he will need to be invited or arrested by the police. Do it legally. And that has, Moro, you know my position on these things. Right. This has always been my position. Whoever is in government or whoever is in power does not matter. Let us make sure the law is working. The only reason why Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America, will succumb to the law is because he has confidence in the law and law enforcement.
Right.
If he believes, you think if Donald Trump believed that the people coming could be some party operatives and party apparatchiks, and they were sent by the person he refers to as what, Joe, he just calls him Joe, he refers to him with some funny names, and they were sent by Joe Biden, you think Donald Trump will cooperate? He won't, when he doesn't have confidence in the system.
Okay.
Let's build, let's not forget this statement Obama made. Build credible and strong institutions and forget about strong men. Okay. And I'm worried. Let me tell you, from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's angle, I always say this. Very few people have second chances. Okay. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama have been president before. His earlier presidency was given so many names. If I have a second opportunity, my actions, the way I do things will be different.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm appealing to His Excellency the President. There are people who have confidence in him. Okay. I'm one of the people who, in his early days, I said that I am expecting His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to work miracles.
All right.
But if we sit and His Excellency the President, somebody writes to you, Moro, you remember on Good Morning Ghana, I raised this thing when I was on it with, I think, Edward Sari or something. Right. When I said that, Look, the president, somebody has seen something, and His Excellency the President has authorized, he has ordered. In fact, what comes from the president is an order. Okay. The president has ordered that they should go and investigate the matter. And somebody in his government comes and to rubbish what the president said and said even what was his word? Even the investigation was not necessary. I'm referencing those planes that came to Ghana. The president said, go and investigate. Okay. A member of government says it's not necessary to investigate. Really? A member of government comes to just rubbish what the president said. The same thing has just happened. Adenta Kumi has written to the president. For that, I have seen ABCD. Adenta Kumi could be completely wrong. I'm not saying he is right by writing. But I'm saying he saw something, he thinks he has seen something relevant. He had written to his father, the father of the land. And the father of the land hasn't acted on it yet. Unless somebody can convince me that the president ordered this arrest, then that will be a different conversation we will have. Okay. But if the president hasn't even looked at the thing and given it that, and then somebody says, go and bring the man in this kind of style, illegal style of arrest. Okay. Please, Moro.
All right. Now let me just say this. Kojo Chumbaf is watching. Kojo Chumbaf is watching.
I'd rather Kojo always send his message.
He tuned in not long ago, and he said he heard you say something which he thinks is important. But we set the record straight on. So, for instance, he says, Moro, don't allow NS to lie to your viewers. UK police don't raid homes. Was NS alive during the days of the IRA? NS, stop it. You're being deceptive. In your days in government, a social media activist named Albert Nat Hyde, also called Bongo Ideas, was bundled out of his home and wasn't even seen for a week. So he just thought that. So,
okay, Kojo, I don't believe Kojo heard me. I said it doesn't matter who is in government.
Right.
The style and the way the national security have been doing their arrest is wrong.
You're saying you've been consistent with your principle.
Yes, but the principle is the same. Whether it's MPP that's in office or NDC that is in office, this national security style of arresting and this kind of movie style of doing things must stop. Okay. The Ayawaso West Wagon, I have it here because you were trying to come in. That's why. But Ayawaso West Wagon happened, and people like Kojo and all of us, Sami Janvi and I were on shows when it was bastardized, and we said we have never ever in Ghana heard of police people masked. Is that not it? And we are supposed to reset what happened in Ayawaso West Wagon. Okay. Now you blow it out of proportion, rather.
Okay. Yeah. Let me bring in Dr. Kat on this matter. I mean, he's an economist. He's not he's not a hardcore political, how do you call it, commentator per se. But let me see what he makes of what has just happened, and I can bring in Anaya Sapon as well. Now, Doc.
Yes, please.
What do you also make of what has happened? And do you also see it as a case of state prosecution or state persecution, as the MPP has said?
Well, Moro, thank you very much. The fact that I'm a professional economist, by all standards, does not mean that I don't have politicking skills to digest on issues of this nature. I always say in this country that if we are not disciplined, and you have heard me several times, that if you are not disciplined, nothing works. From individual homes to institutions, as well as governance. The extreme way we take things for granted is what has brought us to this far. MPP has done it before. They've done several things. They've raided people's home. But I always say that it boils down to the degree of the offense and the statement you made. Because national security, they have a benchmark of determining what cases
have acute determinants where they have to move swiftly to tackle that. That is within their domain. And that is the scale they have acquired. So I will say that let us be patient, like the way the security expert has analyzed. Let us allow the security agencies to implement those determinants that will make sure society is sanitized and we move on a swift process. Other than that, we will be going back and forth and saying that we are blaming party A, party B all the time. And with my intuition, I think that where seriousness means seriousness, we should be serious with this country. In managing money, in monetary affairs, in politics, in security, in everything. Some people hide behind things, say things. Some people insulted presidents of this country in the past, which is, to me, I will never do that. I deal with the issues. So, my brother, you may blame NDC today, but take the records back and see what has happened in MPP time. That is why you are saying that it's not about party A or party B. I would simply say that the question is that we need to equate discipline against all the fabrics and sectors of the economy. That will strengthen our country. And when we are disciplined, when people can manage themselves in a disciplinary way, this country will go far. That's what I have to say about it. The rest of the scale of security, networking, and whatever happens in the security sector, it's not in my line. But this is, from my moral perspective, this is what I said. Let us be disciplined. Let us respect each and every one, every institution, and make it a point. We should make it a point, a cardinal point, that we have to respect each other.
Right.
That is the bottom line.
So the point you're making is just allow these state institutions to do their work.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll bring in Anaya Sapon, but Kojo Chumbafu is back again. Ernest, Kojo is back again. And he says that, please tell Ernest that nowhere in this world do security agencies disclose charges before an arrest or a raid is conducted. There was no attack on his family. The NIB operation was done in abject professionalism. At no point did they even touch anyone or anything on the house except effect an arrest. They didn't even harm anyone. And the man who claimed his wife had had a miscarriage was busy singing solidarity songs with Apenyo Marking. So stop lying. The people your party left us as the security operatives are the same people working there. Nothing has changed. So let me...
I responded to what you said.
Initially.
Back to you, but I was telling you that.
That's the chap we're talking about. Yeah. That's Alfred
Kojo is looking at the IRA. The IRA is, at a point in time, was considered as a terrorist organization.
At some point.
If you are going to arrest an armed robber, a terrorist, and you go in that style, it's different from some Adenta Kumi who may not even know how a pistol looks like. Or you are coming to arrest me. I don't know, let me talk about me. Who may not even have a cutlass in my house to even weed my compound. Is the arrest method, does it have to be the same?
Right.
And you see, what Kojo, let's have this conversation
some other time.
Some other time behind the screens.
You know,
there is no justification for this.
Yes, you know, Kojo likes the matter a lot. So anytime you're on the show, he sends a lot of messages. Anyway, so Nanaya, what's your take on this? So your microphone is apparently off. Yes. Thank you. Do you see the blue light? Okay, if you don't see it, please press it so you see the blue. Oh, the blue light is not on. So sound, please check. You should come and check and fix Nanaya Sapon's. Yeah, so they'll come back to you shortly on it because I think that there's some technical problem that ought to be fixed. But Richard Kumado, I understand, is a security analyst, is back on. He has something he wants to chip in quickly. Richard, what thou sayest
The point I want to make is that I think the man who spoke just after me
You mean Ernest Adade?
was talking about
Ernest
I think
Adade.
it's called Ernest or something.
Okay.
Yes, because some of us don't come on the show and speak as politicians, we speak as professionals. And I wanted to correct something he said. You did not ask me a question about how people should dress, how law enforcement officers should dress when they are making arrests. That was not the question you asked me. So I did not answer to that. You asked me a question, I explained when it comes to most of arresting people who have come under crime investigations. So I didn't say many of the things he said, and that is not true. And number two thing he said that is not true is that when it comes to marking people, the number of years I've worked in the BNI, it started from his party when his party was in power. And where do you think they learn it from? They learn it from the British and the Americans. Irrespective of the type of operations they are going through, when they come to wearing khaki, and the khakis they introduce into our law enforcement agencies and creating their own private security offices within the law enforcement agencies. It started from his party. So I take a little bit offense when they speak in that manner. I think there's an NDC and CPP people in the studio, and they should do their NDC and NPP politics, but we speak as professionals. And I can tell you and give you several examples of how law enforcement operations needed to be done. But I wanted to raise the point that I didn't talk about somebody going to harassing anybody, and I have not spoke about somebody's, getting into somebody's house in the manner that will cause somebody's wife to get discouraged or something. I was talking about standard procedure, and I think I answered the questions you asked, and that is what I wanted to clarify. Because I get offended sometimes when we come as professionals and they do everything they do to drag us into the politics. And Moro, you know my political views are not too present when it comes to some of these things.
Okay.
I wasn't rebutting what he said.
Okay.
I was specifically addressing what happened in Adenta yesterday.
Okay. All right.
I stay in Adenta, so I seem to be very close to the action.
Okay.
So it was completely not a rebuttal from him.
Okay.
The only thing I made reference to in what he said was the UK thing. Because in 2007, I was also schooling in the UK. Right. I was a student then, a young man. So I seem to have had the story. But this khaki thing, the Ayawaso West Wagon thing, they were in khaki.
Yes.
The people who I saw yesterday on TV were in black Ghana police.
Okay.
So please, the comparison. Sincerely, I wasn't rebutting.
Okay.
It wasn't a rebuttal to him, but we are both talking about two different things. So he shouldn't take offense.
And Kojo is back again. Kojo Chumbafu is back. That's his final comment. Kojo is back again. He says the operative word he used is may. Okay. The security operative must protect themselves against possible inclement violence. How do they know that Adenta Kumi is going to fire shots at them?
Adenta Kumi is like me.
There is a standard
Kojo,
operating.
you know
there's a standard operating procedure for effecting arrest, given the unknown.
I don't even have a cutlass in my house to break coconut.
Yeah. Well,
so
it's called provision.
If you are coming to arrest me,
I've heard some people say provision is better than the kiosk.
so you see, if they were going, I just mentioned that if they were going to attack or arrest armed robbers, or we heard that there are some terrorists coming from the border and military are going, they will go in a different style.
I probably should have asked Richard Kumado when he joined us earlier whether the chaps who we saw who were masked, who were hooded, whether it is also standard operating procedure. Maybe we should have asked Richard when he joined. So Derek, if you can bring Richard back. Yes, if you can bring Richard back, we'll get it from a more, from an expert view. As for me and you, we have our own areas of expertise.
If Richard thought that it was right, what was wrong with Ayawa?
People get yes.
Okay, maybe when it's time for me to comment, I could.
That's fine. No, I'll bring you in now. I'll bring you in. But let me just say that those of you asking about WhatsApp message, the WhatsApp line. Let me give you this. Let me give you this WhatsApp line so that you can join the conversation, because most of you want to share your opinions, and I appreciate that. 0249 155 646. 0249 155 646. You can see we put it up on the screen. Yeah, very clearly. Pick up that number and please share your opinion with us on what you make of the issue under discussion. If Richard Kumado is back, is Richard Kumado back on? Not yet. Okay. All right. So, Nanel, we're going to bring Richard Kumado back on, but I'll still.
I hope I would not be paused for him to speak.
I know. It's
at least I would not want to be interfered. Yes, of course.
It's on phone, right?
I always want
Richard,
to be.
Richard is on phone.
I need to.
Okay, so I'm told Richard is on phone. Let me just do this just for a minute. Richard.
Okay.
Hello, Richard.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Good. Now, there's an aspect of this conversation which has come up again, and that aspect had to do with some of these security operatives who were wearing masks. They were hooded. And Ernest Adade here is asking why Ghanaians are not talking about it. Why aren't we complaining about it? Why aren't we criticizing it, as we did in the past when we saw some of those same chaps in the famous or infamous Ayawaso West Wagon debacle, for want of a better word?
Okay, so Moro, when you take the Ghana Police Service, for instance, they have various departments. And when we were growing up, pertaining to the particular operation, then you will see striking force coming to the fore. Then you will see the Buffalo unit coming to the fore. Then they now even have what we call the SWAT unit. And you remember in the election, the just past election, some people, prominent people in this country, raised the argument that it's an election we are going to, so the SWAT unit should not dare come to the fore, and they threatened even Dan Parry and the police hierarchy that they wouldn't want to see the SWAT unit coming to the fore. That is to tell you that the police unit is set up to deal with various issues at various places at all times. Now, when it comes to arrest, as part of the standard procedure, one of the things they consider is the nature of the environment, the operational environment, the nature of the person they are going to arrest, or the nature of the operation. Is it a hostile environment? Is the place a bit more complex? How much information they have about the place, and the full knowledge. And they do the risk assessment. And you remember that said that if we do not stop what we are doing, and they also do not streamline their operation in a manner that gives them results, whilst they are mindful of the fact that outcome of their actions could be scrutinized and can even be litigated, it will lead to two things. Operational security could be breached, and the safety of the frontline officers could be compromised. I said that in my earlier submission. And so they consider the type of operation they are on, the nature of the environment, the circumstances leading to whatever will come out, and they do their own risk assessment. And it is all as an outcome of whoever is leading the operation and what they expected to achieve, and the decisions that led to that particular operation, being it a searching exercise or an arrest exercise or curtailing a threat against it. So that is number one. Number two, with the many years I've spent in the BNI, I work in a particular, by the way, when I was joining the BNI, we were over 4,000 that started the process. At the end of 3 years of background checks, they pick only 4 of us. And that is why, by the grace of God, today, we have become an asset, not only Ghana, but many places in the world. With the many of years I've spent in the BNI, the dressing methodology, because of the section I was in, which was one of the sensitive sections within the BNI, that safeguards the integrity of the state called Ghana, irrespective of whichever party is in power. We have a peculiar way we operate, and we have a peculiar way of doing things. Now, what happened? When the NPP came to power, the just NPP that came to power, they changed the Act 526, the Intelligence Act. And I think you have my brother, lawyer Nana, in the studio. They changed the Act and gave us an Act called 1030. In that particular Act 1030, they even inserted dress code. It was as a result that you saw those dresses and the various arms they set up, which led to the Ayawaso West Wagon. What happened? The people in the BNI and the people in some of the police now, on some of these operations, arrest, search, and that is creative problems, they were the same boys. They recruited and they put them there, and those were the dress codes they give them. But I can tell you, if I am leading a team to arrest name whether Adenta Kumi or Tamawu to me, these are people that are well known, and these are people you can easily locate them. and I jokingly told you that there's no wall or there's no gate that is higher than a search warrant or an arrest warrant, I will arrest you in a manner that will not raise any controversy. I will search your house in a manner that do not raise any eyebrow or something, because I told you we will announce our presence, tell you where we are coming from, and tell you why we are there, and show you the arrest warrant or the search warrant. Okay. And we will make sure you stand there with us while the search is being done. And when we pick you, we tell your family or your lawyers where we are taking you to and the charges against you. That is the way that I have performed my duty for all the years I have been a law enforcement officer. And in consultancy, that is what I teach people. I cannot speak for why somebody will want to dress this way or dress that way. It depends on who is leading the operation and what the outcome they are expecting. Moro.
But personally, do you think it's good? It's a good thing?
Yeah, when the Buffalo unit is coming, their dressing is different. When the SWAT unit is coming, their dressing is different. When the striking force are coming, their dressing is different. Okay. Now, the police have counter-terrorism. When the counter-terrorism is coming, their dressing is different. Right. When you go to the military, it is the same thing, whether the military defense or defense intelligence and many of the other units you have in there is different. Right. When the BNI or the NIB is coming on an assignment, depending on the location, whatever the assignment is and what they want to achieve and whatever it is different. Right. But the point has to be made that the introduction of khaki and the mask, and you saw the boys wearing the NIB jacket, it is part of the law they introduced. I have spoken privately and publicly about it, but nobody will listen because they thought I was raising an issue that was going against their party. They didn't listen to me when I was talking about standardization and streamlining. They said it is a law, and you have a lawyer there in the studio with you. So as a lawyer, but me, Richard Kumado, I will not recommend. I will not recommend anybody to harass anybody because I have dealt with the privacy laws. And I know many of those things in it. And I will do the job. I will arrest you. I will search your house and make sure you are aware of what I'm doing without raising an altar of controversy or something because of what I've known.
All right, Richard. Nanaia Sarpong is grateful that you can't wait to see him being called to the bar, but he's not there yet. He's not sitting at the bar. He's sitting around my table.
So I always call him a lawyer.
Yeah, so
pursue it and we'll be fine.
Richard, thank you. Thanks for talking to us. Thank
welcome.
you. All right, that's Richard Kumar. I mean, he kept referring to Nanaia Sarpong as a lawyer. Nanaia Sarpong, please tell him I'm a lawyer here. Please. Anyway, so
I do not want to
yeah, because once you allow it to pass, the expectations that viewers are going to have is going to be entirely different.
Of course.
Say lawyer panic, as I say.
Anyway, but as Richard was saying, if you look into the Security and Intelligence Act 2020, that's the Act 1030. I think that you would find some of these elements in there, and let us not be deceived. All right. There is a standard procedure of arrest that is enshrined in the Criminal Procedures Code 1960. Okay. Right. You understand? That is the Act 203. If you look at the Section 7, it's in reference to how the young man was picked up. I wasn't there. Let's put that on record. I was only privy to have watched some of the videos that were being posted by his own colleagues. Moro, I overheard a young lady who, after some inquiry, I'm told is a wife, because he kept referring to her as baby, say that, ask, where are you taking him to? And the NIB officer who was there was emphatic, very clear in his voice, said that we are taking him to the BNI headquarters. And the gentleman, the officer, asked again, do you know how to drive? She said, yes. Then he said, you can follow us. You understand? The only place where the struggle was when she was filming the whole thing, and the kept telling her to stop. You get it? So when there was no attack on the family, you saw I don't know if that was the mother or the mother-in-law, but that the granny, the old woman, for lack of a better expression, she's very elderly. There was no attack on her. There was no
Aren't we narrowing this whole matter of attack to just physical attack? I mean, if you look at the way they entered the house, it could be a psychological attack, it could be an emotional attack.
Well, if they are going to arrest somebody, do they come in a Father Christmas attire or come with the gong beaters and the drums and dancing? No. There would definitely be some sort of whatever it is. There would definitely be some level of trauma. Let us walk out of these studios. Let us meet a police officer and he comes to tell me that Nane Asapon, you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Me that they are arresting, maybe I will not even be scared. You would have an issue with it. So definitely there will be some level of emotional, play and some psychological and disorder that would definitely be exhibited or would come to play. What we should be looking out for is whether or not the procedures for the arrest was proper. Now, if it is not, then we deal with it. I have been on the side where I kept drumming that the national security, the Ghana police, the military, whichever security forces that they are, should adhere to their standard procedures. What is the standard procedure? One, you cannot come into my house masked. Richard was laying out some elements or characteristics that goes into the strategy planning when an operation is going to take place. They look at the environment. They look at the person involved. They look at the history. You get it? After they have done all of this, then they also take into consideration whether or not there could be some elements that they have not been able to identify. The risk assessment. All right? But in these circumstances, we call for some of these noise by ourselves. I have stated in one of the networks that a national security officer or police officer cannot come to my house masked. No, I will treat you as an armed robber. And it's on record. I will treat you as an armed robber. There are places that they go like that. When they have gone to these Galamsey sites, these are criminals. These are murderers. These are killers. Nation destroyers. When they have gone into the bush, we are giving an example of the UK and the US and the whatever. Yeah, you understand me? They have places that they go that they are masked. And not that they are masked, but sometimes they put on these tear gas, whatever they call it, equipment. And the code of their dressing is there. Every unit has the way they dress. Which unit went to Kumi's house? Which unit went to Wuntumi's house? You understand? For what reason did they go there? These are things that we ought to be able to look at. Now, Moro, there is something that is going around that ought to be dealt with. They gave reasons why Kumi was arrested. The gentleman was arrested based on the false publication. You understand? And was supposed to have given, was supposed to have been questioned. Did he have rights to a counsel? Yes. My own brother is his lawyer. Pampuku CID. The former district chief executive for Zamanses Auto.
So you know him personally?
I know Kwame personally. He was granted access to him. You understand me? And I say the family was not denied following him to the place. You get it? So whatever it is, we should be able to allow the security agencies to work. Now, if you look at Wuntumi's case, I know there are some news going around and other things. When I got the topic, I decided to do my own background investigations and checks. Wuntumi's personal accounts has never been frozen. Wuntumi's personal accounts has never been frozen. What I am told was frozen, I don't know if it's still frozen, is the corporate account of the mining firm.
Akonta Mining Company
Akonta
Limited.
Mining. That is what has been frozen. And the police CID had extended an invitation to Wontumi. And please, let us put it on record. If an invitation has been extended to you and you cannot honor the invitation, you do not call a police officer to tell him that I cannot come. Once it is a formal invitation, you go through the formal procedure. It's either your lawyers are writing to them or you are writing to them stating the reasons why, that beyond any other thing, you cannot be there.
Okay.
Now,
so let me share this with you. Now, Wuntumi's accounts were frozen. Indeed, I can confirm that. His accounts were frozen because, contrary to the Chief of Staff's explicit direction to all state institutions not to effect any payments until the incoming government has perused all payment certificates, on the 8th of January, he was paid a specific amount of 50 million. Okay, so that's his stolen account. His company's account.
It's a government's
not
account.
Personal. No, that's true.
Personal.
That's true.
Please,
It's
do you
personal.
pay your children's school fees through your company account?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's through a personal. Yes, not his personal account.
We seem to politicize
Yeah.
everything that we do. And if we do that, we cannot grow as a nation.
Right.
And that's made a point that we should grow institutions. How do we grow institutions? When we stampede every single operational activity and steps of the institutions that we seek to build. That is very wrong. You understand me? Now, Moro, let us take this into perspective. Akonta Mining. You said you don't work with Akonta Mining.
Right.
Have you not heard him say that before? How then?
So you're right. I can confirm his personal account was not frozen. Not his personal account,
How,
company account.
If a company you don't work with, how are you able to draw money from that company? How are you able to make transactions in that company? What you're saying. And it is because of the Ghanaian culture. And I keep saying, posted it on my Facebook page.
Right.
I said that, you see, courage is not when you have come out to roar. Because you see, we would come out maybe to sympathize with you and to join you. But when you are going in there to be dealt with, Moro, you would go in there alone. At this point in time, we need to judge all. We need to be able to have, and I'm calling for this, a national dialogue to look into the standard procedures and operations of the national security. Because if you look at Wuntumi's case, it was a CID matter. The national security and the other persons, the NIB that were there, were only invited as support. And I have heard the stories go around that it was the noise and that the party made and the sympathizers that came around that the NIB could not effect the arrest. No. Contrary to that, no. The lawyers went behind the scene to have a discussion with the CID that they would present their client on Monday. And that is what did the magic for him. But please, all we are looking out for, is that let us all agree as a country that we do not politicize some of these institutions. Ayawasu West Wogon, when it came, we all made noise about it. Didn't we? We sat down. There was a committee that was set. The commission, was it a commission or a committee? It
was a commission. It was a commission, yes.
We all made noise about it. If you look at the Act 1030, it even states the recruitment process, the persons that can be recruited whatsoever. Because it is a sensitive institution. They deal with coded and confidential and classified information and operations. Look at what happened with the gentleman, Edu Boahi, and his lawyer, Atachia.
Yeah.
National security is one of the only institutions across the world that when you are going in, you swear an oath. When you are coming out, you swear an oath. And if you look in other jurisdictions, if you rise from at the national security or the FBI or whatsoever to a certain level and you resign or you are sacked, what I say? I don't even know if I have to say it. You get missing. Because of the way and manner in which they operate. So you do not come out and tell us that because you are being harassed, because you are going through whatever persecution whatsoever it is, classified information, you put it out.
He says he's never done any government business.
So
he's never been a CEO.
The enemy, I'm talking in terms of the modus operandi.
Yes, I get it.
If the enemy had captured you, would you have released all our classified information to them?
Right. Okay.
You understand? So, and Wontumi would come to tell me that he never occupied a government position, that he never was a CEO, why he never. But you did government contract. Taxpayers' money.
And they were huge contracts, actually.
And somewhere in excess of $70 million.
Yeah.
If I am not mistaken. Allegedly, I'm told. Somewhere in excess of 70 million. Me, Ernest, did you get $3 million contract?
300 Ghana.
No, you see.
Maybe he made a mistake.
Let's be real.
Oh, man.
Let us not be hypocritical about some of these things. Yeah. Moro, we gave you government contract. The concession, the land, it is not your father's property. The Constitution 1992 makes it clear that everything we have, the natural resources, is in the bosom of the president. Is that not what it is?
Yeah.
And so if you have been given a concession and a lease to operate, is that not Ghana's property? Shouldn't you account for it?
The president is holding the lands in trusts.
You understand me? So you see, we need to look beyond the colors of our political parties.
All right.
That is what we should do.
Okay.
We should look beyond the colors of our political party and deal with the matter.
Let's take this break. A break. Just quickly. We should have done
Unless
that about 10 minutes ago.
I was quiet. You spoke for 45 minutes.
So we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
No, why you send?
you live the way you wish to live. But revenge cancels the lines between poverty and riches.
It's either you're saying something progressive, or I'll just tell your wife that I'm carrying your child.
Where is my father? Now that he's coming closer to the community,
Papa, go figure your own plans. So I go figure my own.
This week on the Cal PL Show.
Notice the cake say, cake here different. When I like I have an auto cake no free here. So if I know your cake no. And now Pia say you can bake. I was just looking for a name that was quintessentially Ghanaian. And you know, I thought cakes are sweet and they are baked in tins. So sweet in tins.
Oh my goodness. That's so smart.
Yeah. The behind the scenes drama, you have no idea. All you see at the end of the day is that you have your beautiful cake there. Yeah. And that's the experience I'm trying to give you, so that not every 5 seconds I'm calling you, this is what has happened though. You have to add, once the client has paid, that's it.
The PL Show is brought to you by Kel Charcoal, Kel 360, and Kel Kids Toothpaste.
Kel, happy smile.
The appreciation of the city that we have seen recently. I think one of the things that if you ask a simple question to the NDC to point out exactly what policy they have implemented that has resulted in the appreciation of the city, they cannot tell you one that has been implemented, not sort of talked about, but actually implemented. They cannot tell you one such policy. They only passed their budget in March. They've not even issued any contracts and paid for anything, pretty much. You know, so you cannot ascribe what is happening to the currency to a policy that they have implemented. There's no such policy that has been implemented that has had that impact yet. For me, we had anticipated the impact of gold in this economy. I talked about it when we got into dire straits in 2022. Bank of Ghana had bought $5 billion worth of gold. After all the noise of the election, people are paying attention to our reserves. That is one thing, which we have built to 30 tons. Secondly, you've mentioned that the US dollar itself is on the decline globally. And that has also strengthened. If you go to Zambia, for example, the kwacha has gained a lot of ground also because you have the US dollar declining in value because of what is happening in the US with all of that. So I think those are critical. And then there's the third element, is that they are not spending. I mean, if you are managing an economy, you have to pay your bills. They are not paying IPPs, for example. This is why the doomsday is so acute. And they are not paying contractors. So when you are not spending, there's less pressure on your currency. So those are some of the reasons why you are seeing an appreciation of the currency.
Right, you're live on Metro TV. This is Inside Pages, and we're looking at the most topical issues that have come up in the course of the week. Let me read some messages that have come through in response to the earlier conversation we're having. So this one from Awudu Adamu is from Asari. It's Ashali Butri. I don't know why he did Asari Butri. It's Ashali Butri. Anyway, please tell Richard that he should not compare UK to Ghana and tell the politicians to do what the Ghanaians expect them to do. This one here says that I don't think that this new generation of wicked MPP really think and care about us Ghanaians, only them, family and friends. God is watching them, and they should repent and confess for forgiveness. That's all they need. That's Elaine from East Legon who sends that message. Good morning, Moro. I'm Fred from Kotobabi Down. I want to dissociate myself with all the comments made by the security expert. He's so fantastic. He said we should allow security personnel to do their job. And this one says, I don't think the new generation of, hey, I've read this already. The man saying he's not even having cutlass in his house sounds like, anyway. So he thinks we should believe everything anybody says and act contrary to the security rules. Please, let's be serious. That's John Bosco from Pokwase. Now, Adams Ado from OEB says, good morning. Please, this issue is not about banter, but how to correct things so when power change, it won't be like that. What's happening now? This one here says, good morning. I am Kakraba from Pram. You politicians, you should be very careful about how you are doing your thing. So this country, one day, yo, that's all he said. And then this one says, that MPP man should give us a break. The biggest mistake Ghanaians ever made since the Fourth Republic was when President Mills allowed MP to get away, grouped under Akufo-Addo, and destroy this country. The national security are doing their jobs. Kweku from La Paz sent that message. And Hardy from Pig Farm says that, good morning, my brother. Did I hear the former Attorney General and the leadership of the NADO saying Mother Ghana will stand the risk of losing its democratic credential because of Chief Justice case? If we do not lose our democratic credentials when Kofi was Attorney General, who is seen coaching an accused person to do blah, 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 so that he can fraudulently blah, blah, blah. That's Kofredami. Hardy, some of your words I can't read, unfortunately. Now, Kamaluddin says that Kamaluddin is a spokesperson for AFA. More, the NIB and other security intelligence agencies are beginning to behave as if there's a takeover in this country. They should be reminded that we are in a democratic dispensation. They must stop using intimidatory tactics on citizens. They should use due process to invite or arrest citizens they deem appropriate, but not the junta tactics they've been using. We, the citizens, shall always resist this arbitrary use of power. My greetings to JFK, the General Secretary of the MPP, and his exemplary leadership in getting Adenta Kumi released. Okay, so I was talking about the fact that the cedi appears to be doing well against the major trading currencies. In fact, it has appreciated by close to 24.1% against the US dollar in just 5 months of 2025. So we want to try and understand what is accounting for this. Of course, there's been a lot of conversation surrounding this, but the reason why we're back again is because the former vice president and also the leader of the MPP in the last elections, the flag bearer, that's Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, is saying that yes, the cedi is doing well. He gives his own reasons, but he says, give me all the credits for why the cedi is doing well. The NDC has done nothing. They can't even tell you one policy which they have initiated to have strengthened the cedi, or that's accounting for why the cedi is doing well. And that's why we're back here again. So Dr. Carter, fortunately, is an economist, and so he would give me his take. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. That's the problem. But in summary, why must Ghanaians accept? Yes, the NDC is in government, but why must we accept the fact that you take all the credit for why the cedi is doing well?
Moro, thank you very much once again.
Okay.
Before I go on, I would like to say a word of greetings to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for the prudentia consia nature of NDC's governance, the wise consciousness and carefulness of how we are resetting the economy. And my greetings to the NDC fraternity and the BOG governor of Bank of Ghana, Johnson Esiama, and as well as Honorable Tufosun, and then also being a board chairman for I-Led Foundation Ghana. I would like to greet all who are working to reset Ghana. Moro, if you talk about what Bawumia said, you were in position, you were in governance. And the cedi was depreciating. The reason why the cedi was depreciating was due to the demand for foreign currency. And let me go down economics and tell Ghanaians that look at the amount of money that they are mentioning in dollars in the pocket of individuals of the MPP Aparachi alone. Tells you that somebody is holding certain amount of money in dollars. That alone tells me as an economist that
the very people who are crying foul that the CD is appreciating that they should be credited for are keeping dollars in their house. Does it click something to you? There's high demand for dollar during their time. And that causes inflation to rocketeer up and brought uncertainty in the cocoa sector. And the sad thing is that one thing about exchange rate is that if you are not productive use base, you don't use your resources wisely, produce, you will experience 53% inflation. Sorry. So these are the simple things that has happened. So if he is saying that NDC has not done anything about it, I can emphatically state that. That is why I use that Latin word, that prudentia conscia, the carefulness of choice of the wiseness of the president has made the difference clear that we are resetting every aspect of the economy. If he's not here to hear it, then it means that he's outside the country. Look, for you to have your gold not sold by individuals and keep money in their pocket, it's a factor to pull the CD, to make the CD be appreciated. Now government is holding, we are seeing it clearly, the gold board is holding all the golds. What happened during the MPP time? Gold was sent to London to be kept for future, for long-term businesses. If I have a property and I keep it in somebody's country, indirectly, it is not in my domain. So I don't have power over it. But the NDC government, be as wise as they are, and resetting the economy, has decided to make sure that we have control of our natural resources. It's the first step. If he has not heard it, that's the first step. You get hold of your natural resources. Secondly, the borrowing skills of the MPP government, the ballooning nature of the debt, which is unsustainable at their time. And now this government has taken steps to sustain it, to make sure that they pay back. It's also a reduction of the inflation that has hit us and now going up to 18%. And we will reduce it. My brother would think that maybe he is an economist, he can put everything in the domain of the public, in the public domain, and say that. What do we do about the fiscal discipline? Autonomous expenditure, the huge procurement that MPP did during their time, leading to the example of 1,270 containers.
Right.
All the sectors of the economy, every sector, cocoa sector, jute bags were procured in excess. Even pen and pencil were procured in excess. And you are telling me that there's nothing done? The NDC government is resetting because they are taking systematic steps to reduce expenditure.
All right.
And when expenditure is controlled, what happens? Government expenditure, when it is controlled, what happens? You give sustainability of the economy. So Bank of Ghana is putting their foot down very well, controlling the demand and supply of money into the economy.
All right.
And they are doing it very prudently.
Okay.
Dr. John Esiama, thank you very much.
All right.
Honorable Tufosun, thank you very much.
I don't know.
There is no time. We need to have time to go into it.
Into the matter.
There are only 3 areas.
Okay.
Monetary policy, fiscal policy, discipline, and structural measures.
That's fine.
The structural measures, one of them is investor confidence.
Right.
We brought it back.
Okay.
It is only NDC party that can do it.
Okay.
And we have done it.
All right. I don't know how we're going to do this because we actually have just 2 minutes. Otherwise, they'll take us off. Just 2 minutes. Oh, God. That's
Okay, Moro, quick.
You're good at something.
Unfortunately, I don't like it when I hear my big brothers, the economists, quote economic numbers and that are problematic. When was Ghana having inflation at 54%? Go and check the time. And the reason why I have a problem when economists and finance people say that is we know how the graph always goes.
Right.
It goes and comes. And by the time MPP was leaving office, inflation was 23.4%. Check the numbers. Check from the world. Even the BOG numbers.
Right.
And you will realize that even dollar, the NDC is still quoting 17 point something dollar, when by the time that the NPP was leaving in office,
it was less than 15.
It was 14.5%.
So
So I don't expect the economists to quote the wrong figure. You are quoting 2023 numbers at the end of 2024 and early 2025. That's wrong. Okay. And that's not. That's
Why
not,
should it be wrong?
We are not being fair to.
No.
the
Tell
system.
me, why should it be wrong? You
Then-
are not an economist. Why should it be wrong?
There is no
It
time.
is the base year that
Then-
determines the future of
Yes,
what we are
so
going to
why
do.
are we
So
quoting?
that's the
The
base
question
year.
I'm asking, you haven't answered. Then you mentioned expenditure reduction. Which one? Because we know that, look, the 2.7 billion, the reason why Dr. Bawumia is saying, attribute some of the credit to us, is that the gold that was sold, the $2.7 billion worth of gold that was sold to back the dollar up, was not saved. It was not savings by the NDC only, but they came from his decision to back the CD with gold. It was backed by his decision, Dr. Bawumia's decision, to convince people not to store their value in dollar, so that it will let the dollar, the demand for dollar go very high, but also to introduce the same gold as a store of value.
Okay.
The policies, that's why he asked. The NDC should tell us the kind of policies they have initiated or put in place to bring the kind of fortunes. Look, the dollar, when I'm speaking to people who have the background, my speech is different.
Okay.
The dollar is stable also because we went to the IMF to the decision to go to the IMF to get dollar to come and support our city.
Okay.
And so when the NDC took office, a number of the dollars came.
Yeah.
There are reasons, but we are not saying I am one person. I also have a finance background.
Yeah.
So I'm one person who will try as much as possible to be straightforward when we are having these dollar conversations. But for anybody to say that Atufo saying when he came what he did is what had occasioned this. But no, there is only one thing I agree with everybody making that statement, and that one is even the speculation alone that was going on. Just remove Kenufuriata, and Kenufuriata was the information around it alone was enough to drive the dollar crazy. Then you said there is no time. We will have this
But
conversation.
I want to tell you
we will have
again,
this conversation again.
Just a
Tomorrow.
quick- just a
He said
quick
time
one.
is
I
up.
said
We will come back
there's-
and
there's
have a
one
more
thing you should
critical
know in
decision
life
with
is that
numbers.
Never
on
praise
this.
nor condemn. Bawumia is too early for him to call. Call for.
So if you ask
Nanael
Moro
Sapon-
on his show the
Nanael
last
Sapon
time,
would have to forgive me for this. Because
Yes, but
it's 10 o'clock
just
exactly. and they
just
take it
some
off.
30 seconds.
Just 30 seconds.
Let us agree.
Okay.
In as much as that we would want to, Alhaji Bawumia would want to take some form of credit.
Okay.
Let us also agree that in August 2024, that was when he made the proposal during the program he attended that he would want to propose that the gold should back the currency regime. I mean, let us be honest, all right? This call had been on for a very long time, even from the days of President Kufuor, all right?
There's no new.
Where we were all proposing that the Bank of Ghana ought to be able to have gold reserves. I mean, if Bank of Ghana has gold reserves, every central bank, I'm not an economist, please, but if every central bank has gold reserves, that is when your currency grows.
Yes.
Why do we say this? It boosts up investor confidence and trust,
Right.
because they know that you have what it takes
Okay.
to be able to pay back whatever loan or whatever that you take
Right.
from them.
Okay.
But you see, if you had the gold reserve, as you say you have, what did you do with it at the time?
I think we can ask that
From
rhetorical
August
question.
to December.
All right.
what did you do with
That's
it?
a rhetorical
what
question.
What was the dollar rate at the time?
All right.
It is not just about having the plans or the ideas.
Okay.
It is your ability to be able to strategically implement the policies.
All right.
And your proposals.
Okay.
That is what does the magic.
Thank you so very much for your time. And thanks for watching Inside Pages. We're so sorry for the next program. We've eaten about 2 minutes into their time. We're so sorry about that. Ethel and a group. So up next is the Health Show here on Metro TV. My name is Aldo Moro. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.